slave market on Nexus Station buzzed with noise and movement. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked between the metal cages, looking at the slaves like they were shopping for fruit. The market smelled bad. It was a mix of too many bodies, strange foods, and the sharp cleaning chemicals the station workers sprayed to hide the smell of fear. Captain Baek Ki pulled his jacket tighter and kept his head down. He was the only human in this section of the station, and he knew it was better not to stand out. The other species here did not think much of humans. To them, Earth was a backwater planet that had barely figured out space travel. Just get the parts and leave, Hyun-Ki told himself. He had no business in the slave market. His ship, the Wandering Spirit, needed repairs, and Nexus Station was the only place in this sector where he could find the parts he needed. The Draxians ran the slave market. They were tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their faces had no nose, just breathing slits, and their eyes were black with no white parts. Everyone in the galaxy knew them as slave traders. They were not liked, but they were tolerated because they were useful to the powerful. Hyun-Ki tried to walk faster past the cages. He did not want to see the faces inside them. Earth had outlawed slavery centuries ago. Humans still did it sometimes, but it was illegal and shameful. Here, it was just business. A loud voice boomed over the station speakers. Final auction complete. All buyers must remove property within 1 hour. Market closes at station midnight. The crowd began to thin. The auctions were over for the day. Hyun-Ki felt relief. He could get to the repair shops without seeing any more of this ugly business. He took a wrong turn. Instead of finding the exit, he ended up in a back section where the empty cages were being cleaned. Workers sprayed them down and prepared them for the next shipment of slaves. That's when he saw her. In the corner cage, a small figure huddled against the wall. At first, Hyun-Ki thought it was a child, but then he saw the blue-green scales. Not human. A Selkie. They came from Nyar, a water planet 3 systems away. The Selkie looked sick. Her scales were dull instead of shiny. She was too thin, and she shivered even though the station was not cold. One of her webbed hands was bent at a strange angle. A Draxian supervisor noticed Hyun-Ki looking and walked over. You want that one, human? The Draxian's voice was rough, like stones being crushed. No one else did. Hyun-Ki turned to leave. I'm not a buyer. Good, that one is trash anyway. The Draxian spat on the floor. Too weak to work. Been sick since we got it. Can't even stand for a full day. He kicked the cage, making the Selkie flinch. We dispose of the unsold ones tomorrow. Dispose? Hyun-Ki asked, even though he knew he should just walk away. Airlocks are cheaper than feeding useless stock. The Draxian shrugged with his upper arms while his lower arms checked something on a tablet. Business is business. Hyun-Ki looked again at the Selkie. She had raised her head slightly. Her eyes were large and dark like most Selkies, but there was something in them. Not just fear. Something else. A small, stubborn light that had not gone out. How much? The words came out of Hyun-Ki's mouth before he could stop them. The Draxian laughed, a sound like rusty gears turning. For this one? Almost nothing. You'd be doing me a favor taking the problem off my hands. Hyun-Ki knew he was being stupid. His ship was small. He had a crew of just 5 people. They delivered cargo between planets and stations. They were not set up to take care of a sick alien, but he also knew what disposal meant. I'll take her, he said. The Draxian seemed surprised. Your credits, your problem. He tapped on his tablet. 200 credits. Cheap for even a bad slave. I'm not buying a slave, Hyun-Ki said firmly. I'm buying her freedom. The Draxian's breathing slits widened, which was how they showed amusement. Call it whatever you want, human. Credits transfer first, then you get the code to open the cage. Hyun-Ki pressed his thumb against the Draxian's payment scanner. The credits transferred from his account. It was money he had planned to use for upgrading the ship's kitchen unit. That would have to wait. The Draxian sent the cage code to Hyun-Ki's personal device. No returns, he said, already walking away. Hyun-Ki approached the cage slowly. The Selkie pressed herself further into the corner. I'm not going to hurt you, he said softly. He knelt down to be at eye level with her. "My name is Baek Hyun-ki. I'm the captain of a trading ship." The Selkie didn't respond. She just watched him with those dark, careful eyes. "I'm going to open the cage now," Hyun-ki said. "You can come with me, or—" He wasn't sure what the "or" was. He couldn't just leave her here. He entered the code. The cage door slid open with a metallic scrape. The Selkie didn't move. "I'm from Earth." Hyun-ki tried again. "We don't believe in slavery there." Still no response. A station security officer walked by, eyeing them suspiciously. "Look," Hyun-ki said, feeling awkward. "I need to get parts for my ship and leave the station soon. You can come with me and I'll take you somewhere safe, or you can stay here, but—" He glanced in the direction the Draxian had gone. "I don't think that's a good idea." Slowly, the Selkie moved. She crawled toward the cage opening, her movements stiff and painful. When she reached the edge, she stopped and looked up at Hyun-ki. Up close, he could see how young she was. Selkies lived about as long as humans, and she couldn't be more than 16 or 17 in human years. Her face had the typical Selkie features: flat nose, wide-set eyes, small mouth, but she was dangerously thin. "Can you stand?" Hyun-ki asked. The Selkie tried, using the cage to pull herself up. She managed to get to her feet but swayed dangerously. Without thinking, Hyun-ki reached out to steady her. She flinched at his touch but didn't pull away. "My ship isn't far," he said. "Can you walk?" "I can carry you if—" The Selkie took a shaky step forward, then another. Her determination was clear, even if her strength wasn't. Hyun-ki's personal device beeped. A message from his first officer. "Where are you? Parts acquired. Ready to leave." He typed back quickly. "Coming. Bringing someone. Medical help needed." As they slowly made their way through the station, people stared. A human and a half-dead Selkie made an unusual pair. "You need a name," Hyun-ki said, trying to fill the silence. "At least until you tell me your real one." He thought for a moment. "How about Ju-yoon? It means silver pearl in an old Earth language. Your scales will be silver when you're healthy." The Selkie, Ju-yoon, gave no sign that she understood or cared. When they reached the docking bay where the wandering spirit waited, Hyun-ki's first officer, Han Min-soo, was outside the airlock. His face changed from annoyance to shock when he saw Ju-yoon. "What have you done?" Min-soo asked quietly. "The right thing," Hyun-ki replied, helping Ju-yoon up the ramp. "Get Dr. Park. She needs medical attention right away." As the ship's airlock closed behind them, Hyun-ki felt the weight of what he had done. He had spent money the ship needed. He had taken on responsibility for a sick alien. He had potentially angered the Draxians. But then Ju-yoon looked at him, and for just a moment that stubborn light in her eyes grew brighter. Whatever happened next, Hyun-ki knew he could not have left her behind. The ship's medical bay was small but clean. Dr. Park Tae-sung moved quickly around the room, gathering supplies while Ju-yoon lay still on the examination table. The Selkie's eyes followed the doctor's movements, but she made no sound. "She needs fluids right away," Dr. Park said to Hyun-ki, "and nutrients. She's very malnourished." Hyun-ki nodded. "Will she be okay?" Dr. Park frowned as she checked readings on her medical scanner. "Hard to say. I don't have much experience with Selkies." She looked at the small alien with concern. "But I'll do my best." The ship's engineer, Kang Do-yeon, appeared at the medical bay door. Her face showed clear disapproval. "Captain, we need to talk," she said. "Now." Hyun-ki followed Do-yeon into the corridor outside the medical bay. "What were you thinking?" Do-yeon kept her voice low, but her anger was clear. "We're traders, not a rescue ship. We don't have resources for this." "I couldn't leave her there," Hyun-ki said. "They were going to kill her." "That's sad, but not our problem," Do-yeon replied. "What are we supposed to do with her? Where will we take her?" Hyun-ki had no good answer. "We'll figure it out." "The crew deserves better than 'we'll figure it out,' Captain." Before Hyun-ki could respond, the ship's alarm blared. Min-soo's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, to the bridge. Unidentified ship approaching fast." Hyun-ki ran to the bridge with Do-yeon close behind. The main screen showed a small, fast ship heading straight for them. They're not responding to hails, Minsu reported. And they're armed. Pirates, Hyunki said grimly. Near the Cygnus Nebula. We should have expected this. He turned to the ship's pilot. Shin Ji-ho, get us out of here, maximum speed. Ji-ho's hands moved quickly over the controls. They're faster than us, Captain. Evasive maneuvers. Head for the nebula. The gas clouds might hide us. The wandering spirit changed, course engine straining as it accelerated toward the colorful gas clouds of the Cygnus Nebula. The pirate ship followed, gaining on them. They're charging weapons, Minsu reported. The first shot rocked the ship. Shields at 80%, Do-yeon called out from the engineering station. Return fire, Hyun-ki ordered. The wandering spirit had only basic weapons, meant more for deterrence than actual combat. Their shots bounced harmlessly off the pirate ship's shields. Another hit shook the ship harder. Shields at 50%, Do-yeon said. We can't take much more of this. Ji-ho, can you get us deeper into the nebula? Trying, Captain, but they're... A third hit cut off his words. The lights on the bridge flickered. Captain, Minsu said urgently. They're preparing to board. They've locked onto our airlock. Hyun-ki felt cold fear in his stomach. Pirates in this sector were brutal. They would take everything valuable, then likely kill the crew or sell them to the same slavers Hyun-ki had just dealt with. Security Protocol Alpha, Hyun-ki ordered. Everyone arm yourselves. Do-yeon, try to override the airlock controls. The crew moved quickly, grabbing the few weapons they had on board. It's no use, Do-yeon reported. They've bypassed our security. They'll be inside in 3 minutes. Where's Dr. Park? Hyun-ki suddenly realized. Still in the medical bay with the Selkie, Minsu said. Someone warn her, Hyun-ki ordered. Do-yeon was about to speak when the ship's internal sensors beeped. Movement in Section 4, she said, confused. Someone's in the environmental control room. Pirates already inside? Minsu asked, raising his weapon. No, Do-yeon shook her head. It's coming from inside our ship. Hyun-ki checked the security camera feed. His eyes widened. It's Ju-eun. The Selkie was at the environmental control panel, her thin fingers moving rapidly over the controls. She shouldn't have been able to even stand, let alone walk to another section of the ship. What is she doing? Do-yeon asked. Before anyone could answer, the sensors showed the pirates had cut through the outer airlock door. They're in, Minsu shouted. Hyun-ki watched the security feed as 5 pirates entered the airlock chamber. They were Centaurians, a species known for their strength and cruelty. Each had 4 arms and thick body armor. Then something strange happened. The pirates suddenly began to stagger. Their movements became slow and clumsy. One by one, they fell to the floor. What's happening? Ji-ho asked. Do-yeon checked the ship's systems. The air composition in the airlock has changed. I don't recognize this gas mixture. The Selkie, Hyun-ki realized. She did something to the air. The security feed showed all 5 pirates now unconscious on the floor. Seal the airlock, Hyun-ki ordered. Ji-ho, get us out of here before their ship can fire again. As the wandering spirit pulled away, accelerating into the nebula's protective gases, Hyun-ki ran to the environmental control room. He found Ju-eun collapsed on the floor by the control panel. Her breathing was fast and shallow. He carefully picked her up. She was so light, like holding a child. Her scales felt dry and rough against his arms. What did you do? He asked softly, not expecting an answer. To his surprise, Ju-eun opened her eyes. Her voice was quiet but clear. Changed air, Centaurian weakness, nitrogen oxide, won't kill, just sleep. Hyun-ki stared at her in shock. How did you know how to do that? I learn. I watch. I listen. Always. Her eyes closed again, exhaustion taking over. He carried her back to the medical bay, where Dr. Park was frantically looking for her missing patient. She saved us, Hyun-ki told Dr. Park, as he gently placed Ju-eun on the examination table. Somehow she knew exactly what gas would affect Centaurians, but not us. Dr. Park checked Ju-eun's condition. She's pushed herself too far. Her body was already weak. Will she be okay? I think so, but she needs rest. And I have more questions now. Dr. Park showed Hyun-Ki her scanner results. Her brain activity is unusual for a Selkie, and these I've never seen anything like them. Later, after Ju-Yun was stable and the ship was safely hidden in the nebula, Hyun-Ki called a crew meeting in the common area. What happened today changes things, he said. Ju-Eun is not just a sick Selkie we rescued. She's dangerous, Do-Yun said. How did she know about Centaurian weaknesses? How did she understand our environmental controls? I don't know, Hyun-Ki admitted. But she saved all our lives. Min-Soo nodded slowly. She did. But Do-Yun is right. To be cautious, we know nothing about her. Dr. Park has found some unusual things in her medical scans, Hyun-Ki told them. Her brain patterns are not typical for a Selkie. So what do we do with her now? Ji-Ho asked. Hyun-Ki thought for a moment. We continue to help her recover, and we try to learn who she really is. And if she's a threat to us? Do-Yun pressed. She had a chance to harm us today, Hyun-Ki pointed out. Instead, she risked her life to save ours. The discussion continued. Late into the night cycle, the crew was divided. Some saw Ju-Eun as a mysterious asset, others as a potential danger. Only Hyun-Ki seemed to see her as simply a person who needed help. In the medical bay, Ju-Eun lay awake, listening to the ship's sounds. Her enhanced hearing could pick up parts of the crew's conversation, even from this distance. They were afraid of her. That was nothing new. Everyone had always been afraid of what she could do. Everyone except the human captain who had looked at her and seen something worth saving. She closed her eyes and allowed herself, for the first time in years, to feel a small spark of hope. 2 weeks passed aboard the Wandering Spirit. Ju-Eun grew stronger each day. Her scales regained some of their shine, changing from dull green to a silvery blue. She began to walk around the ship, moving with more confidence. The crew watched, her with mixed feelings. After she had saved them from the pirates, they were grateful but also wary. No one knew what to make of her. Dr. Park spent the most time with Ju-Yun, running tests and helping her recover. One morning she called Captain Hyun-Ki to the medical bay. You need to see this, Dr. Park said, showing him a screen with complex readings. What am I looking at? Hyun-Ki asked. DNA scans. Ju-Yun's DNA. Dr. Park pointed to certain patterns on the screen. These markers are not natural. Someone changed her genetic code. Hyun-Ki frowned. You mean she was modified? Like genetic engineering? Exactly, and very advanced work. Dr. Park looked troubled. No Selkie has these abilities naturally. She was made this way. Ju-Eun sat quietly on the examination table, watching them discuss her as if she wasn't there. Did you know this? Hyun-Ki asked her directly. Ju-Eun nodded slowly. Yes. Why didn't you tell us? You didn't ask. Her voice was soft but clear. And people who know what I am usually want to use me. Or destroy me. Hyun-Ki pulled up a chair and sat facing her. I'm asking now. Who are you, Ju-Eun? What happened? To you? Ju-Eun was silent for a long moment. Then she began to speak. I was not born on Nayar with other Selkies. I was born in a laboratory. The Iraq Dominion made me. Hyun-Ki and Dr. Park exchanged looks. The Iraq Dominion was one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They kept to themselves mostly, but their technology was far ahead of other species. The Iraq wanted to create perfect spies, Ju-Yun continued. They took Selkie DNA and changed it. They made our brains different. Better memory. Faster learning. We can understand any language after hearing just a little of it. We can remember everything we see or hear. We? Hyun-Ki asked. There are more like you? There were 20 in my group. I don't know about other groups. Ju-Yun's face showed no emotion. Most of them did what they were told. They were perfect spies. They could go anywhere, remember everything, and report back. No one suspected Selkies. We look weak. But you were different? Dr. Park guessed. Ju-Eun nodded. I asked questions. I didn't always obey. The scientists said I was defective. Her voice grew quieter. They were going to terminate me, but one of them sold me to the Draxians instead. For profit. Hyun-Ki felt cold anger rise inside him. They created you, and when you showed free will, they threw you away like trash. Yes, I was merchandise. Defective merchandise. Ju-un looked at her hands. The Draxians did not know what I was, they just saw a sick Selkie not worth much. Until I bought you, Hyun-Ki said. Yes. Until you. For the first time, Ju-un smiled slightly. I did not understand why. Dr. Park was still looking at the scan results. The genetic modifications are extensive. They enhanced your brain, but they also made other changes. Yes, we can control our body temperature. We can hold our breath for very long times. We can change how our eyes work to see in the dark. Ju-un touched her head. But it hurt sometimes. The changes were not perfect. Is that why you were sick at the slave market? Hyun-Ki asked. Partly. Also, the Draxians did not feed us much, and I was punished often for not being obedient. Hyun-Ki felt his fists clench. He took a deep breath to calm himself. You're safe now, he said. No one on this ship will hurt you. Ju-un looked at him with her large, dark eyes. The Auroch will come looking for me, Captain. They do not let their property escape. You're not property, Hyun-Ki said firmly. You're a person. Later that day, Hyun-Ki called the crew together. Ju-un sat with them, looking small among the humans. Ju-un has shared her story with us, Hyun-Ki said. I think everyone needs to hear it. After Ju-un explained her origins, the crew was quiet. Even Do-yun, who had been the most suspicious, seemed shocked by what the Selkie had endured. So the most advanced civilization in the galaxy is creating living spies, Min-Soo said finally. That's against galactic law. Many things are against galactic law, Do-yun said. It doesn't stop people from doing them. Shin Ji-ho, who was usually quiet, spoke up. If the Auroch find out we have her, we're in danger. They won't want anyone to know about their secret program. They will kill to keep it secret, Ju-un confirmed. They have before. Then we turn her over to Earth authorities, Do-yun suggested. This is way bigger than us. The Earth government can protect her and deal with the Auroch. Hyun-Ki shook his head. Think about it. What would Earth do with someone like Ju-un? Someone who can remember everything she sees and hears? Who can learn any language instantly? They'd use her just like the Auroch wanted to. But at least she'd be alive, Do-yun argued. Alive in another laboratory. Another kind of cage. Hyun-Ki looked at Ju-un. Isn't that right? Ju-un nodded. Humans also like to study things they don't understand. I would be valuable technology. So what do we do? Min-Soo asked. We can't just keep running a small trading ship with her on board if the Auroch are hunting her. We don't have the weapons or the resources. For now, we keep a low profile, Hyun-Ki decided. We finish our current delivery contract. Then we'll figure out a safe place for Ju-un. And if the Auroch find us before then? Do-yun asked. We'll deal with that if it happens, Hyun-Ki said, even though he had no idea how they would. That night, after the others had gone to sleep, Hyun-Ki found Ju-un in the ship's small observation room. She was looking out at the stars. You should rest, he said. You're still recovering. I don't need as much sleep as humans, she replied. Another modification. Hyun-Ki sat beside her. I'm sorry about what was done to you. Why? You didn't do it. I'm sorry as one intelligent being to another. No one should be created just to be used. Ju-un considered this. The Auroch don't see it that way. To them, I'm a tool they made, like your ship's computer but in a body. They don't think I have real thoughts or feelings. Do you? Have real feelings? Hyun-Ki asked. I think so. I feel fear. I feel pain. She looked at him. I feel gratitude. To you. You don't need to be grateful. I just did what was right. The right thing is rare in the galaxy, Captain. Most beings do what is useful or what is easy. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars. What will happen when the Aerok find me? Ju-un asked finally. If they find you, Hyun-ki corrected. And if they do, we'll protect you. You can't fight the Aerok, their technology is too advanced. Maybe we don't need to fight them. Maybe we find another way. Ju-un turned to look at him. Why would you risk yourself and your crew for me? I'm not human. I'm not your responsibility. Hyun-ki thought about his answer carefully. On Earth, we have a long, ugly history of people treating other people as things, as property. We've mostly moved past that. But we remember it. It's a wound in our history. He looked out at the stars. When I see someone being treated as a thing rather than a person, I can't just walk away. Not if there's something I can do. Even if helping costs you? Ju-un asked. Especially then. That's when it matters most. Ju-un was quiet again. Then she said, The Aerok would say that is illogical. Probably. Hyun-ki smiled. But humans aren't always logical. Sometimes that's our greatest strength. The wandering spirit docked at Orbital Station Vega to deliver its cargo of medical supplies. Captain Hyun-ki was tense as he watched the station through the viewing window. This was their first stop since learning about Ju-un's true nature. Do you think we're being followed? Min-soo asked, standing beside him. I don't know, Hyun-ki admitted. But we need to be careful. Ju-un had stayed on the ship while the rest of the crew handled the delivery. They all agreed it was safer that way. Less chance of being seen. Du-yun approached them after completing the cargo transfer. All done. Payment received. We should leave as soon as possible. Hyun-ki nodded. Any unusual ships at the station? Nothing I noticed, Do-yun said. But I'm not sure what an Aerok ship looks like. Neither am I, Hyun-ki said. That's what worries me. They returned to the ship quickly. Shin Ji-ho was already in the pilot seat, ready for departure. Set course for the tourist trade route, Hyun-ki ordered. It's busier. We can blend in with other ships. As they pulled away from the station, Dr. Park joined them on the bridge with Ju-un. She has something to tell you, Dr. Park said. Ju-un stepped forward. Her movements were stronger now, more confident. There was an Aerok observer at the station. I felt their scan. What? Hyun-ki turned to her. How do you know? I was made to recognize Aerok technology. Their scanners feel different. Ju-un touched her head. Like a pressure in my mind. They were looking for Selkie DNA patterns. My patterns. Did they find you? Min-soo asked urgently. I don't think so. I can mask my brain activity for short periods. Hide from their sensors. Ju-un looked tired. But they know someone like me is in this sector. They will keep looking. How long have they been tracking you? Du-yun asked. Since the slave market, probably, Ju-un said. The Draxians would have reported my purchase. Unusual things get noticed. Hyun-ki turned to Ji-ho. Change course. Head for the Cygnus Nebula again. The gas clouds will hide us from sensors. Yes, Captain. The ship changed direction, accelerating away from the established trade routes. We can't keep running forever, Do-yun pointed out. We need a plan. I'm working on it, Hyun-ki said. 3 days later, they were deep in the nebula. The colorful gases outside the ship created strange light patterns on the walls. It was beautiful, but dangerous. Navigation was difficult, and the gases could damage the ship's systems over time. Hyun-ki sat in the common area with maps and charts spread around him. He was looking for safe places, planets or stations where Ju-un might find protection. Min-soo joined him. Any ideas? A few. Hyun-ki pointed to a small planet on the edge of Earth-controlled space. New Haven. It's a refugee planet. People go there to disappear. The Aerok would find her even there, Min-soo said. If they want her badly enough. Hyun-ki rubbed his tired eyes. You're right. We need something better. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Ji-ho's voice came over the system. Captain to the bridge, multiple ships detected. Hyun-ki and Min-soo ran to the bridge. The screens showed 3 ships approaching through the colorful gases of the nebula. How did they find us? Do-Yun asked. Already at her station. Unknown ships, Jiho reported. But they're coming straight for us. They know exactly where we are. Ju-Won entered the bridge. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed fear. It's them, the Iraq. I can feel their technology. How many ships does it take to catch one Selkie? Min-Su asked. 3 enforcer vessels, Ju-Won said. They are serious. Those ships are only used for important missions. Can we outrun them? Hyun-Ki asked Jiho. The pilot shook his head. Not a chance. They're faster and the nebula slows us down. They're hailing us, Min-Su reported. Hyun-Ki took a deep breath. Put them through. The main screen flickered and showed an Iraq. They were humanoid, but with gray skin that seemed almost metallic. Their eyes were large and completely black, with no visible pupils. This one wore what looked like a uniform, with symbols of rank. Human vessel, the Iraq said in perfect standard language. This is Commander Velix of the Iraq Dominion Enforcement Division. You have property belonging to the Dominion. Return it, and you will not be harmed. Hyun-Ki stepped forward. This is Captain Baek Hyun-Ki of the Earth trading vessel Wandering Spirit. We have no property of yours. Do not play games, Captain. The Iraq's voice was flat, showing no emotion. Our sensors detect the genetic signature of Dominion Project 7329. It is unlawfully aboard your vessel. There are no things with that designation on my ship, Hyun-Ki said carefully. Only people. The Iraq's eyes narrowed slightly. You have 30 minutes to surrender the Selkie specimen. After that, we will take it by force. Your vessel will not survive such an action. The screen went dark. They'll do it, Ju-Eun said quietly. They will destroy this ship and everyone on it to get me back. What are we going to do? Jiho asked, looking at Hyun-Ki. Before the captain could answer, Do-Yun spoke up. We have to give her to them. We can't all die for one person we barely know. I agree with Do-Yun, Min-Su said reluctantly. We're outgunned and trapped. There's no way to fight or run. Hyun-Ki looked at his crew. He understood their fear. They were traitors, not soldiers. The Iraq were one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Maybe there's another way, he said. There isn't, Do-Yun insisted. Look at the sensors. Those ships are military class. We're in a cargo hauler with minimal weapons. Ju-Eun stepped forward. I will go with them. Everyone turned to look at her. No, Hyun-Ki said. It's the logical choice, Ju-Eun said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. 1 life for 5. That's not how we do things, Hyun-Ki said firmly. It's how most species do things, Ju-Eun replied. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Dr. Park, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Ju-Eun, what will they do to you if they take you back? They will study why I failed to be obedient. Then they will terminate me. My parts may be useful for the next version. The way she said it, so matter-of-factly, made the room go silent. Hyun-Ki looked at his crew. Is that what we want to be part of? Sending her back to be taken apart? No one answered. I didn't think so. Hyun-Ki turned to Jiho. Take us deeper into the nebula. There's an old mining facility on asteroid K-12. We might find cover there. Captain, Min-Su warned. That's suicide. We can't outrun them. We're not going to outrun them. We're going to outsmart them. Hyun-Ki turned to Ju-Yun. You know how the Iraq think. What would they never expect us to do? Ju-Yun thought for a moment. Fight. They believe humans will always choose survival, that we are driven by fear and self-preservation above all else. Well, Hyun-Ki smiled grimly. Let's prove them wrong. 20 minutes later, as the Iraq ships closed in, Do-Yun entered the bridge. She had been in the engine room making adjustments. You're crazy, she said to Hyun-Ki. But I think your plan might work, if we're lucky. We don't need luck, Hyun-Ki replied. We have something better. What's that? Min-Su asked. Hyun-Ki looked at Ju-Eun, who was helping Jiho navigate the treacherous gases. something the Auroch could never understand. What? Do-yun pressed. The human factor, Hyun-ki said. They think we're predictable, that we'll always take the easy way out. He watched as Ju-un pointed out a safe path through the nebula gases. They're about to learn they're wrong. The wandering spirit plunged deeper into the nebula with the Auroch ships in pursuit. Minutes later, the asteroid field came into view, with the abandoned mining facility barely visible among the floating rocks. All hands prepare for emergency maneuvers, Hyun-ki ordered. And Ju-un? She looked up at him. Get ready to show us what else you can do. The abandoned mining facility loomed before them, a dark shadow against the colorful gases of the nebula. It was built into a large asteroid, with old docking bays and equipment left behind when the minerals ran out. There, Hyun-ki pointed to, a narrow opening. Can you get us in there, Ji-ho? The pilot looked uncertain. It's tight, Captain, very tight. We need to try. The Auroch ships are too big to follow us inside. Ji-ho nodded and carefully guided the wandering spirit toward the opening. The ship shuddered as it scraped against the edges of the entrance. Careful, Do-yun warned from her engineering station. Hull integrity at 85%. Behind them, the 3 Auroch ships moved into position, blocking any escape route. They're powering weapons, Min-soo reported. Almost there, Ji-ho said, his hands steady on the controls despite the pressure. With a final shudder, the ship slipped inside the mining facility. The space inside was larger than it appeared from outside, with old equipment and abandoned mining vehicles scattered around. Power down everything except life support and essential systems, Hyun-ki ordered. Maybe their sensors won't detect us clearly in here. The lights dimmed as Do-yun reduced power. The crew waited in tense silence. They're still out there, Min-soo said, checking the sensors. All 3 ships. They're not leaving. Of course not, Ju-un said. They're patient. They can wait. How long do we have before they come in after us? Hyun-ki asked her. Not long. They'll send in smaller ships or drones first to flush us out. Hyun-ki turned to his crew. Then we need to move fast. Everyone knows what to do? They nodded, though none of them looked confident. Do-yun, get down to the old control room with Ju-un. See if any of the facility's systems still work. On it, Do-yun said, still not entirely happy with the plan but committed now. Min-soo, you and Dr. Park prepare the message. Make it ready to send to every frequency. Yes, Captain. Ji-ho, keep the ship ready. We might need to move quickly. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Hyun-ki touched Ju-un's arm. Are you sure you can do this? She looked at him with her large dark eyes. No, but I will try. That's all anyone can do, he said. Do-yun and Ju-yun made their way through the dark corridors of the mining facility. Years of abandonment had left the place dusty and partially broken down. They found the control room, its old screens covered in dust. This stuff is ancient, Do-yun complained as she tried to power up the systems. It probably won't even work. To her surprise, some of the screens flickered to life. Ju-yun immediately began to study the facility's layout. There, she pointed to a section of the map. The communication array, it's still intact. That's half the system we need, Do-yun admitted. What about the data processing units? Ju-yun's fingers moved rapidly over the controls. Old but functional, they use these facilities to analyze mineral content. I can repurpose them. Do-yun watched, with growing respect as Ju-un worked. How do you know all this? I was designed to learn systems quickly, Ju-un said without looking up. The Auroch wanted spies who could access any technology. They made you too well, Do-yun said. Ju-un paused for a moment. That's what they realized too late. Back on the ship, Min-soo and Dr. Park worked on compiling data about the Auroch's secret program. Do we have enough evidence? Min-soo asked. Will anyone believe this? They'll have to investigate at least, Dr. Park said. Genetic engineering for intelligence purposes is against every galactic treaty. Even the Auroch can't ignore that kind of accusation if it comes with evidence. But is it enough to protect Ju-un? Dr. Park looked grim. I don't know, but it's the only chance we have. Outside the facility, the Arok ships launched small scout drones that began to enter through various openings in the asteroid. "They're coming," Jiho warned over the communication system. "Small drones, at least a dozen of them." Hyun-Ki's voice came back. "How long until they find us?" "Minutes, maybe less." In the control room, Do-Yun and Ju-Un worked faster. "Almost ready," Do-Yun said. "The old communication array is powering up. It should be strong enough to reach most of the galaxy if we use the nebula gases to amplify the signal." Ju-Un suddenly froze. "They're here." A moment later, a small drone appeared in the doorway of the control room. It was a floating sphere with sensors and what looked like a weapon. Do-Yun slowly reached for the tool at her belt. "Don't move," Ju-Un warned. "It will fire if you do." The drone scanned them both, a red light washing over their bodies. "Target identified," a mechanical voice said. "Returning to base with location." The drone turned and started to leave. Do-Yun moved with surprising speed, throwing her heavy wrench at the drone. It hit with a clang, knocking the drone into the wall. The drone sparked and fell to the ground. "That won't stop them for long," Do-Yun said. "They know we're here now." "Then we finish quickly," Ju-Un replied, turning back to the controls. On the Wandering Spirit, Hyun-Ki received the warning from Jiho. "The Arok are hailing us again. They know we're here." "Put them through," Hyun-Ki said. Commander Velix appeared on the screen, his gray face showing no emotion. "Your hiding place has been located, Captain. Send out our property now or we will come in and take it. This is your final warning." "Your property?" Hyun-Ki asked. "I see no property. I see only people. The Selkie is Arok technology. It belongs to us." "She," Hyun-Ki corrected. "Not it. And she belongs to herself." The Arok commander's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your primitive moral distinctions are irrelevant. The specimen will be returned. You have 5 minutes before we send in our forces." The screen went dark. "Minsu, is the message ready?" Hyun-Ki asked urgently. "Yes, Captain. Ready to send." "Do-Yun's status?" Do-Yun's voice came through the system. "Communication array is online. Ju-Un is connecting to it now." In the control room, Ju-Un had placed her hands on a strange old console. Her eyes were closed in concentration. "What is she doing?" Do-Yun asked over the communication link. "Using her abilities," Hyun-Ki replied. "The Arok designed her brain to interface with computer systems. She's going to send the message herself directly through the system." "But the strain..." Dr. Park's voice was worried. "Her brain wasn't meant to handle this much data at once." "No," Hyun-Ki said quietly. "But it's our only chance." Ju-Un began to tremble as her mind connected with the old mining facility's systems. Through her enhanced abilities, she could feel the entire network, all its connections and pathways. She began to push the message through it, using the communication array to broadcast to the galaxy. The message contained everything: her genetic scans showing the modifications, her testimony about the Arok program, evidence of the illegal experiments, and the truth about how intelligent beings were being created as tools, and then discarded when they showed free will. The nebula gases amplified the signal as Do-Yun had predicted. It went everywhere at once, to Earth authorities, to the Galactic Council, to news networks, to every species that had communication systems capable of receiving it. Ju-Un's body shook with the effort. Blood began to trickle from her nose. "Jo-Un, stop!" Do-Yun grabbed her shoulders. "You're hurting yourself." "Almost done," Ju-Un gasped. "Everyone must know." On the Arok ships, alarms began to sound as they detected the massive broadcast coming from the mining facility. "What have you done?" Commander Velix's face appeared on the Wandering Spirit screen again, showing emotion for the first time. Anger. "Stop this transmission immediately." "Too late," Hyun-Ki said. "The truth is out. Everyone knows about your illegal program now. Everyone knows what you did to her and the others like her. You understand nothing, human. This will mean war." "No," Hyun-Ki said confidently. "It will mean change. Even the Auroch Dominion can't fight the entire galaxy, and they will all be watching now. In the control room, Ju-eun finally collapsed as the message completed its broadcast. Duyun caught her and gently lowered her to the floor. Ju-eun, can you hear me? Duyun asked, genuine concern in her voice. Ju-eun's eyes fluttered open. Did it work? Yes, Duyun said, checking her vital signs with a small medical scanner. It worked. The whole galaxy knows now. Ju-eun smiled weakly. Good. Back on the bridge, Hyun-ki watched as the Auroch ships suddenly began to move away from the mining facility. They're leaving, Min-soo said in disbelief. Why would they leave? Now? Because they know they've lost, Hyun-ki said. The secret is out. They can't just take Ju-eun and pretend none of this happened anymore. Too many people are watching now. Hours later, after they had left the mining facility, Earth ships arrived in response to their message. Ju-eun was in the medical bay, recovering from the strain of the broadcast. Duyun found Hyun-ki on the bridge watching as the Earth ships escorted them toward safer space. You knew all along this would work, didn't you? She asked. Hyun-ki shook his head. No, I hoped. There's a difference. The Auroch thought we would give her up, that we would be too afraid to fight. They don't understand humans very well, Hyun-ki said with a small smile. Maybe they don't understand people very well, Do-yun suggested. Any kind of people. Later, Hyun-ki visited Ju-eun in the medical bay. She was sitting up, looking much better. How are you feeling? He asked. Better. Dr. Park says I will recover fully. Good. Hyun-ki sat beside her bed. The Earth authorities want to meet you. They're talking about asylum, citizenship. You'll be protected now.